I'm upset. No disrespect, respectfully. But disrespectfully, it's disrespect. Don't be disrespectful. Those vile, disgusting Spartans. Poor little bro, them. And I'm gonna tell them where I'm at. That vile, disgusting cesspool in Columbus. The other state, and of course, as always, I'm upset.
Maize and Blue Nation, it's Tom Brady. I co-founded Autograph with one mission in mind: change the fan experience for the better. That's why I'm excited to announce the release of a new app that recognizes the biggest Michigan fans. The Autograph Fandom app gives you access to the best Michigan content, fan challenges, and exclusive rewards for diehard Wolverines, all for doing the things you already do, like listening to this podcast. Head over to the Apple App Store and search for Autograph Rewarding Fans and download today.
First things first, Michigan 24-15 winners on the road against Penn State in a hostile environment without their head coach. Let's get this out the way.
Woo! I'm the best there is. Woo! 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 Woo!
Without their head coach, Michigan comes in that way. That you guys saw that coming in here. We put it on the floor. We're gonna take care of business anyway. Michigan comes into the game after the head coach was informed on the tarmac, by the way, that he would not be the head coach of this football team the following day, 24 hours before game time. He was informed. Michigan comes into the second biggest stadium in the nation, in Beaver Stadium, and completely dominate. I know the score doesn't necessarily say domination, but that wasn't a close game. It wasn't as close as that score says it was. James Franklin should be ashamed of himself. He was out-coached by Michigan's offensive coordinator, Sharon Moore, who, by the way, in the first half, if you follow me on Twitter, I was giving high praise to Sharon Moore. He still deserves praise. In the second half, I thought he got far too conservative. The score could have been worse than it is, but we take the wins around here. We don't care. And by the way, they said we couldn't beat a top 10 team or any top competition. Penn State is a top 10 team. They just got dominated. One more time for Mike.
Woo! I'm the best there is. Woo! 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 Woo!
All right, Rick, we got time. We got time today. I expect to see some faces in here. As I recall, Melo number 7 told me to meet him here after the game because I'm guessing he was expecting us to lose that game. Not the case. Let me get to some of your other comments. Bet, Chris W., you already know. Woo! As the famous Ric Flair would say, bet. These are all the Michigan bets here. Absolutely. Awesome game. Moore did great. I agree with Moore doing great. I do, as I said, in the second half, he got a bit conservative, but he didn't pay for it. And he understood, want to put his defense in a bad position. By the way, Jesse Minter also called an excellent game as usual. And I credit Sharon Moore for not wanting to put that defense into positions with bad field position. So that contributed to the play calling, but it could have been worse than it was in terms of the score line. A season all or nothing bet. So I'm guessing Michael Wilson is an Ohio State fan, which, by the way, bro, this isn't your line today. In fact, y'all need to worry about taking care of business with Lil Bro them because, as I said, Melo is already going to be banned if you guys lose that game. And if you keep on, we're banning you too. I might just ban Ohio State for the rest of the season on the channel if y'all lose that game. Big boy ball. Can you play it? But absolutely. Michigan and Sharon Moore did revert back to what us as Michigan fans have been used to seeing over the last 2 seasons, and that's just running it down your throat until you spring a leak. And basically that's what happened, right? Like they were doing a pretty decent job against the run to start that game, but Sharon Moore kept with it. Eventually they sprung a leak. Eventually, Blake gets in from like 4 or 5 yards out. Then a couple of the next drive, the Don gets in there from 19, 20 yards out, whatever it was. Then Blake has a big run. By the way, Blake had a big run in on that drive that where the Don scored. So it was just the inevitable. And Penn State trying to delay that inevitable, but it was going to happen. But is the bottom line. Michigan versus everyone, absolutely. Big Ten did us dirty, and we still won. Heck, let's speak on that, man. Tony Petitti and the Big Ten definitely did us dirty. They did Michigan no favors. They suspended the coach right before this game because they thought it would affect Michigan negatively, and I'm sure it did. It could only affect Michigan negatively in terms of like having the guile of Coach Harbaugh, but it did galvanize the troops. They did rally around each other and the situation, and I'm sure that helped in that way. So if there's any positivity that came from this huge negative situation, it's that the players rallied around each other and they got it done. But certainly this was all done to try and hurt Michigan's chances of finishing the regular season undefeated, of hosting the Buckeyes and bashing their heads in, which is gonna happen. So we got to see what happens. Of course, at the beginning of this, there was some speculation before the game started as to whether that TRO or that injunction would come down in Michigan's favor. Of course, it ended up not. They're not expecting, I think, a ruling until next Friday now, which would be like the day before the game against Maryland, on whether or not Jim Harbaugh can coach in that Maryland game. I don't know exactly what's going to happen. There are tweets and everything flying around, but there were also tweets flying around this morning that injunction will be granted before the game. Obviously, that was not the case, but we'll talk a little bit about that in a sec. Let's talk about some of the facts from the game, right? Unfortunately for JJ McCarthy and fan JJ McCarthy, the calls didn't enhance his chances of winning that Heisman Trophy. I think he threw for like 60 yards in this one on 7 of 8 passing. He was accurate, I guess, as accurate as you can be on 8 passes, but that's certainly not going to be enough, really, when we're talking about Heisman and we're talking about the competition he's going up against, right? Michael Penix is going to throw that thing 30 times today. Trust me. Bo Nix is going to throw the ball 30 times today. I expect both of them to be up over 300 yards passing. So it definitely hindered JJ McCarthy's Heisman Trophy candidacy with the way that this one played out. But that's not important, right? And JJ will say the same thing. JJ has been one to say, I'm not here for the individual accolades. This is a team sport. We got plans. We got big plans, and that's the national championship. And so JJ's mindset is on that natty, not necessarily the Heisman Trophy. But as I said, the play calling today did him no favors in that regard. Let's go to the comments really quickly. I love the look of the Penn State coach, like a big lover. Whoop. Oh, here's Mello. I'm sorry, Mello. Can you hear me? Am I clear? Am I clear enough for you? I don't know, man. I don't think JJ cares about the Heisman. Facts. I agree with that, Hasley. Like, this season is more about that national championship than anything. I'll give James Franklin credit. He was disciplined in this game. I'm surprised he stuck with that run so long. I'm not giving James Franklin any credit. I mean, I get what you're saying, Twan, but this guy he just lost. He was out-coached by the offensive coordinator for the Wolverines. It's the bottom line. He made some questionable calls today. He made a fourth down call where the receiver caught the out against Mike Sanders still, but it wasn't a great throw from Drew Aller. By the way, Drew Aller is not good right now at football. Let me say that. I'm gonna put the right now on there because some of those throws, even completions like that one, that wasn't a good throw. But you know, credit to James Franklin for not crying on the field, I guess. Whatever. No handshake at the end of the game. I didn't even see that. This is interesting. So he couldn't even shake our offensive coordinator's hand, who was acting as the head coach. That's very, very interesting. It says a lot about James Franklin, but whatever. JJ doesn't care about the Heisman. Absolutely, we agree with that. Maryland might not want to show up next week. I agree with this statement as well. Penn State needs a new offensive coordinator. Facts. They need a quarterback. They need a new head coach. Manny Diaz is the best part of the Penn State coaching staff. This game might get Franklin fired. It should get Franklin fired. It's not good enough to be the third best team in the Big Ten, in the Big Ten East, but also in the Big Ten because the West is kind of trash. So, and to the Big Ten's credit, they're doing away with the divisions next year anyway. But that's about where James Franklin is. And by the way, when you add in Washington, when you add in USC, depending on if they keep their coach next year too, by the way, but when you add in Oregon, is Penn State still the third best team? Do they drop further than that? Who knows? So James Franklin, and by the way, I think James Franklin is a good coach. He did a good job in Vanderbilt, building that team into not just a surefire W for the rest of the SEC, but at the same time, and by the way, James Franklin does good outside of the conference. He, won those home and homes with Auburn. He does good in bowl games. He's not a horrible coach. At the same time, though, you have to win your conference. He hasn't participated yet in the CFP. I know one year, I know before anybody says it, one year they were kind of cheated out of participation in the CFP, but still, James, you have talent all across this football team. You have been having talent all across this football team. It's time for you to cash in on that. And unfortunately, the two real powers in the Big Ten keep beating you. Franklin can't coach himself out of a paper bag. Damn it, man. No Harbaugh, no problem. That was my original title for this. I decided to go a little less abrasive. White throw the ball on second. Only James Franklin knows. James Franklin going James Franklin. Absolutely. Aller straight cheeks. Yo, I tried to tell people, man, this Drew Aller dude, you guys saw my short. He's a trash can. Last week, I gave him credit. He finally looked like a football player a week ago. This week, he's back to being Drew Aller. I mean, they had that one drive where they were utilizing his feet a lot, and eventually he ran one in. Outside of that, though, I was less than impressed with this guy, man. He's not as good as, everybody wants to say he is, and that's pretty apparent, especially when he's playing real football teams. So, straight cheeks, as my guy Brando 2 times says. Franklin loves to gamble, going for 2. Why? He went for 2 early in this game when I didn't think he necessarily had to. There was still so much game to be played. The final going for 2, he kind of had to do that. When the game was 15-24, he had to go for 2 there to try and make it a 1-possession game. So I understood that one. Percentage playing with our food. The ball restrictor is playing with the mouse. PSU confident enough to open the run again versus PSU in that joint. Better win. Touchdown. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty on point with what I was saying. Michigan went kind of retro Michigan in this one in terms of run pass and that disparity. They went heavy run, especially in that second half. I don't know if JJ threw a pass in the second half. So certainly agree with that. He shake Moore's hand. Okay, good. All right. So that's good. Michigan versus everyone. Facts. Went out the Big Ten and waved bye to them. Otis John is one of the guys who thinks Michigan should leave the Big Ten. Of course, my guy Antoine has been echoing those sentiments. I don't necessarily think that we should leave the Big Ten. Don't shake hands of any big coaches. Oh, you're saying Michigan shouldn't shake anybody's hand. I understand. That would be interesting. It would be hilarious. He shook his hand. He just did it fast and walked away. Got it. Got it. Everybody's now. Appreciate everybody for correcting that. We appreciate it. We appreciate it. We got a super chat from my guy Dom, OSU, and Big Ten now accepting donations to pay for a officiating crew, Mississippi, for the game. Oh man, shout out to Dom, man. Triple M Love Podcast, you're awesome. No, you're awesome, David. I appreciate it. Appreciate you watching me do what I like to do. Yeah, this was more first significant win against the top 10 team. Natural to feel emotion with the stakes behind. Yeah, I saw his post game. He was extremely emotional. Let a couple slip too, but you know, it was he was caught up in the moment. I'm not mad at that, and especially here's the other thing: it's not just him winning this game against another top 10 team. It's the position he was placed in so immediately. You know what I mean? Like he had to. This was. It wasn't planned at all. So that's the problem. Support, bro. Thank you, Brando. 2 times. Go blue. By the way, if you're here, make sure you hit that like button. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, share the live. Let's talk about it. I do a lot. I've been doing a lot more lives here lately, but I definitely do some pre-records as well. But anyway, back to what you guys are saying. Love more, but he needs to have OC duties only. Yeah, I think he did today. I think he did a decent job. I'll be fair to him. I think he was the head coach for that Bowling Green game, which I did not like. But that was his first opportunity too. But at the same time, we saw what Jesse Minter did with his first opportunity. We saw what the combination of Jay Harbaugh and the running backs coach Mike Hart. We saw what they did in their game. And both games by those 3 guys looked better than the Bowling Green game, which was JJ's worst game of his career so far, outside of maybe TCU, and just because of the stakes. But I thought today he wasn't horrible, especially in the first half. I thought in the first half he was really calling a good game. He was really responding to what PSU was doing. And in those first 2 drives, PSU really shut down what Michigan was trying to do. Carson Barnhart was getting his lunch taken on that right side of the line those first couple drives. So Sharon Moore, recognizing that, did some things differently that I can appreciate, especially that block where he got Barnhart out on the edge to block a smaller guy and just ran right at the pass rush on that one. So that was a good change up. He got Barnhart some help. He started bringing tight ends to that side and things like that, which was also helpful. So I think he did a decent job today, but I do like him as the OC and hope, that's his role for years going forward. But I know he's also talented and can get a job as a head coach elsewhere. So keep that in mind. Dude, Penn State post-game shows are saying we sucked and JJ sucks. Our plan was to run the ball and only run the ball plus no coach. Facts. That is ridiculous. Any Penn State post-game show that's saying Michigan sucks and that JJ sucks is just out of touch. Let's be real. JJ threw the ball 8 times. Of the 8 times, he completed 7 of the passes. How can he suck with that stat line? Let me make sure, because I'm pretty sure that's what he ended the game with. 7 of 8, 60 yards. I mean, he just didn't get bites at the apple. That's the only discerning factor here is that he didn't get the opportunities that Drew Aller got, by the way, and didn't cash in. Let's be real with that. Drew Aller had the opportunities, and he was so bad, even with his opportunities, that it didn't matter, right? It didn't move the needle for them in one way or another. And I'm right. 7 of 8, 60 yards, 7.5 per attempt. Give this man some grace. By the way, Drew Aller, 10 of 22. That's less than 50% of his passes were completed. 70 yards. Average 3.2 yards per pass. That's worse than like a bad running back's day. Like, come on, man. Let's be real. By the way, Blake Corum, though, back to doing Blake Corum things, over 140 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns. Shout out to him. The Don found the end zone, and he ran for, I believe, over let me make sure that I got the Dons right. Yeah, over 5 yards per carry for him. 10 rushes, 52 yards. It was a comprehensive win. You know what I mean? It was a defensive struggle for a bit in Michigan. I feel like if the circumstances were a little different, if Sharon Moore felt a little more comfortable, if he was just the OC today, then maybe we do win bigger. I will concede that. If Sharon Moore could just focus on being the OC today, then Michigan probably wins that game huge going away. Go Blue, baby. Not upset. We're not upset today. Today we are not mad other than the fact that our coach couldn't be there to call this game. We won the freaking game. People are delusional. Yes, Penn State can cry a river. How you let a team beat you running it 30 straight times? 30 straight. That's crazy. A win to win. Facts. Let's go. Your stupid coach went for it on their own 30. Bro, that's rough. Rough. Maybe James Franklin isn't a good coach. I mean, that's so difficult to just say he's not a good coach. Like I said, he's had his moments, right? I do think he's not good under pressure. Let me say that. When the going gets tough, James Franklin is not good at making decisions in that situation. Which is another thing, by the way. I saw a halftime show say that Michigan losing or playing without head coach Jim Harbaugh wasn't that big a deal. And I think they said it because, the offensive coordinator and the defensive coordinators are the one calling the call, making the calls, the play calls. And that's fair. But what you need the head coach there for, and why he's so important, is not only just to steady the ship and calm guys down or to get on the refs. Even that's important. People don't understand that. Like in situations where the coach wants to hold or something like that, just getting in that ref's ear and saying, hey, look at, keep an eye on 63, he's doing XYZ. But even more than that is the decision making, like on a 4th down, by the way, and on your own 30. You know what I mean? If Jim Harbaugh is there in that situation, that doesn't happen for Michigan. Obviously, Jerome Moore didn't do that either, but I'm just saying that those are the types of things that you need a head coach for. That's why your head coach is your head coach. He's the CEO of the team. He makes the decisions, especially in times like those. Los Angeles with another super chat. Shout out to you, sir. We ran the ball down their throat, and it was at their place. I bet if Ohio State Suckeyes played at Happy Valley, they would have lost. You won't get an argument out of me on that. The Honda Accord, by the way, the Honda Accord's day is coming. The 25th will be here in no time, 2 weeks away from their atonement in the big house. We're going to bless them in the big house and send them out of there licking their wounds. That one run with the huge hole, I was screaming. I thought he was going to miss it. I think I know what you're talking about. If this was the one that Donovan had, because he also had another big run before he eventually scored the touchdown, it was a massive hole. And he was trying to run like off the hip of the tackle or whatever and stay with that. But the hole was, to his right. And he was just kind of standing there until he obviously bounced off and found it. But I was screaming as well at the television for that. My guy Mello, we brag because of our defense. They went 1 of 13 on 3rd down, and the 1 was on the last drive of the game because of a penalty. That's fair. I think you guys got a elite defense too. I'll say it. Ohio State's defense is certainly better than it was last year and the year before that. But we're gonna make you pay for all the things, all your transgressions on the 25th in the big house. Triple M, you're skipping, bro. That's not great. Let me try to fix this really fast. You guys let me know if it's still skipping. We'll try to fix something. My guy Sean Paul, Phil, I'll get with the chat. Later, we have some trolls, problematic, my original Bolivian government Wi-Fi from the 90s. I didn't know when I was hurried into moving is acting up. Shout out to Sean Paul, man. Will Johnson had a solid game. I agree with this. I thought so he got a pass interference call early in this game. I didn't really think it was a pass interference. I thought the wide receiver did a good job of acting. Will barely, had a hand on the hip, and that guy did the good job, what you're supposed to do as a wide receiver. Turn, act like you've been shot. He did that, of course. The Lost Angels again. Also, Ohio YouTubers are saying Jim is cooked and won't return for the 25th. They are so scared of Michigan and are hoping Jim is suspended. Absolutely. Well, we know that for sure. We know for sure that they don't want Jim on the sideline. The whole campaign really has been to keep Jim off the sidelines, and they're going to do whatever it takes to, keep it that way. So we'll see what happens with the injunction and if it, renders any good news for Michigan. Ohio State's defense is really good. That's why they win games, not their offense. Facts. This year, that is a factual statement this year. Their offense is as good as Marvin Harrison can be that day. Let's be honest. Marvin Harrison is an elite talent. Marvin Harrison is very special. Marvin Harrison is going to be a top 5 pick in the NFL draft, no doubt about it. That said, if Marvin Harrison isn't having a good game, I will say this, even if he's not having a good game, because he didn't have like a special game against Notre Dame, but his presence on the field is what allowed for other people like Igbuka to have a big game that day. He's just a presence either way. That kind of vacuum of attention on him is the reason that the offense is good at all. But their defense, I will credit, has stepped up in a big way. It's not necessarily one person that's spectacular, in my opinion. JTT is talented. Eichenberg is talented. The corner has gotten worlds better because he was getting toasted out there before that. But that said, the defense is good. Jim Knowles is finally able to implement the system he wants to implement. But I don't see them having a chance against Michigan. That's just my opinion. Let me see what Brando had to say. Yeah, OSU, PSU, and Michigan defenses are all the real deal for sure. I agree with that 1,000%. It looked like PSU knew some signs. I noticed JJ huddling often in the first half. That's true. They definitely seem to be on top of it early. Now, granted, their defense is actually really good too, so I can't just credit it to them knowing the signs, but it definitely seemed that way at times. Will Johnson and Summerstill are scary, not gonna lie. Yeah, Summerstill got beat on that out route that I was talking about earlier, but other than that, he had a solid game, and Will Johnson is Will Johnson. Bottom line, I had to watch the game in the elements in increments. Should work. Shout out, man. Appreciate you stopping through. Imagine Day loses to Moore. That would be interesting. I wonder if Michigan is going to stick with Moore as the head coach, which I think by the way, Harbaugh cannot come back, I do think it's a good idea to stick with one guy and not to do the musical chairs with the coaching. Whether it's Moore or whoever for the next 2 games, it should be that person for the next 2 games. That would be scary. That would be crazy if Moore wins out, if Harbaugh can't come back. That would be crazy. And by the way, if that happens, I don't expect Moore to be coming back to Michigan either. Somebody's going to offer him a massive check to go be their head coach, which could happen anyway, by the way. Agree with that. Their D is solid. OSU quarterback is trash. Yes. OSU's Honda McCord is a trash can. He needs an oil change, tire rotation. He's a Honda McCord. Need someone to get Harrison Jr. the ball. That could be the case. The crazy part is he and the Honda McCord were high school teammates. One would think that they have some chemistry going on. Just doesn't seem to work out on the field like that. MHJ and Trey. Man, Travion Henderson is a good football player. I'm going to give him some credit. He doesn't play enough for me, but I don't know. Facts. Glad I don't have to root for Nebraska anymore for tiebreakers. Right. They'll restart the live again. All right, man. Clearly the live is causing some problems. I'm gonna try to restart this thing because obviously we want everybody to enjoy themselves while here. So I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. All right, I'm back. Let me know if this is better. I'm not sure. If not, I'll have to move. I'm in my basement and it's concrete everywhere for the record, but I got my Wi-Fi extender obviously is not doing a great job. We'll get that fixed though for future shows. Thank you to my guy Sean Paul, by the way. EFL audio is choppy and it's in 144p. That's not great at all. That's not what we want at all. Why do OSU fans always need help with spelling? Oh Lord. Shout out to Joe. By the way, somebody let me know how I'm looking and sounding right now. Is it still coming through? Way better. Shout out to that. Resolution still low. That's not great. But yeah, we'll work on that. I'll stay on with you guys for another few minutes before I get back to watching some more college football. This was exciting. But be sure to download the Autograph app if you haven't already. If you have an iPhone, you can do this right now. Android guys cannot. But it will be coming to Android in due time. Use my code Madman. This app is a Tom Brady. Tom Brady is the proprietor of the app. It is for Michigan fans specifically to get all of their Michigan content in one place. So you'll see me, you'll see guys, writers, Michigan beat writers, and their columns are on there. So it's a great place to get that done. Still choppy. All right, I'm gonna let this one go. I'll be back with you guys a little later. Until next time, stay angry, my friends.